all the countries that have been colonized by the
Mhm.
British Roman Empire, or the British Empire. So
British Roman Empire.
British Roman Empire.
Welcome to Just Trust Me, the marketing podcast that packs a carry-on in the hopes of arriving alive to flight destinations. I'm Rachel Moore, host/producer, and along with my co-hosts Elizabeth Allen and Tanya Ballard Brown, we tap into how trust and marketing walk hand in hand or thumb wrestle in today's campaigns and faux pas. In this episode, we ask why the Royals are in tinfoil hat territory, how a world of imagination became a lesson in why AI isn't the end-all be-all for marketing, and how Boeing is still going to cost you an arm and a leg if you still have them attached at the end of the flight. All aboard! Welcome to Just Trust Me, the marketing podcast that wouldn't dare Photoshop a family pic in the middle of a scandal. I'm your host, Rachel Moore. I rate my interest in the Royals at about a 5 out of 10 crown jewels. They pique my interest on occasion. I mostly just follow the posts of friends of ours who do follow them rigorously. Tanya, introduce yourself first and then tell us your rating for the Royals' interest.
Tanya Ballard Brown. I would say I am maybe an 8 crown jewels on a scale of, but with a caveat. I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, which is named for Queen Charlotte, and in like Mecklenburg County, where they were like, she was a black lady. And I went to Ottawa where there was like a portrait of her, and I went to stand in some kind of government building in Ottawa where they had a portrait of her, and I was like, yeah, she looks black to me. As that piqued my interest as a kid, and so I've been to London a few times, and I do the things because I went to Buckingham Palace for the changing of the guards and various and sundry museums and such. So I'm interested in this part. I was very sad when Diana was killed.
Yeah.
I did follow the boys for a skoosh. I've never been into the other one. I was always like the ginger one, but mostly because he was the little brother and the spare. So it was like poor little Harry the spare. I did get up at the Crackle Dine and put on a whole outfit and make Pim's cups when the Black Princess, when that wedding happened, and went to my friend's house for a whole English breakfast thing. And my sister-in-law is British, so there's that.
Yeah.
However, I did not follow all the ins and outs of the Kate photo fixing. I was aware enough that she had disappeared, supposedly.
Elizabeth, please introduce yourself and rate your interest in the Royals. Go for it.
All right, so I would say generally my interest in the Royals is at a 2 out of 10. I feel for the people of England and the people of Ireland and all the countries that have been colonized by the British Roman Empire, or the British Empire. So
British Roman Empire.
British Roman Empire. When you say empire, you always want to say Roman Empire, right?
Yes.
I don't know why.
Well, I know
because
all
that's
dudes
my
do.
Roman Empire. As Tanya was saying, it's the weddings. I remember for Kate and Will's wedding, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, made myself a cup of Earl Grey tea in my fancy china, felt so special. Then when Meghan and Harry got married, it was a little later in the day, which was nice. And I had a child, and she and I made fascinators out of paper plates, which was very cute. I have great pictures of it. Maybe we'll post it to our Instagram. So my interest in the Royals spikes at about a 5 when it comes to like big events that are happening, right? I am team Meghan and Harry all day long.
Same.
But I will say it is spiked to 12 out of 10 in the last couple of days. I normally don't give a shit about these people. And one of my best friends, who's a mutual friend of ours, Samantha, is very well versed in the Royals. And as my daughter was getting into the car, Samantha called me to explain a lot of stuff that was happening. And I was fully enraptured. It's like sitting in front of your kindergarten teacher on the rug and just being so excited to learn about what she's going to tell you. That's how I feel every time she talks to anybody about history, the Royals, She's
Mhm.
very big into the Romanovs. Fascinating,
Yeah.
right? So on my way home just now, like literally 20 minutes ago, I was talking to her all about this whole situation, and she was informing me because she is definitely more educated on it than I am. It's literally all I can think of. Keep in mind, I'm also unemployed. So I have a little bit extra attention to give to what the fuck is going on with Kate Middleton? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably link Sam's TikTok, because, like you said, I love watching her because she's basically schooling you about all the
She
things going on with
is,
the
oh my
royals. It's
God, she's so
amazing.
good.
I
Yeah.
forgot about that, now give me the TikTok just so I can watch it, but yes, you're right.
So, for those of you listening who maybe aren't going to go check out Sam's TikTok right this second, let's talk about the Kate Middleton PR disaster because, yes, this is a disaster. And Elizabeth, I'll give it to you if you want because you're our zeitgeist person. B, I think, again, you just got schooled by our resident expert. Tell us, what are we talking about? Because there is a PR disaster going on with the royals and it's all surrounding Kate Middleton.
All right, so let's start around December 28th, right? She was filmed around Christmas with her family, no problem. On December 20th, a vehicle brought somebody to the hospital outside of Kensington Palace, right? We did not hear anything about it. Then, shortly after, we had been told that Kate Middleton is having some sort of abdominal surgery, very vague. She's really not going to be involved in any official events until Easter. That was the whole thing.
And the length of time was why people were like, "She's getting a BBL."
Exactly. My other favorite theory is that she's growing out bangs. She
Yeah.
cut
Oh my
bangs and didn't
God, I
like
hadn't
them.
heard that one. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
She just hid in the corners
You
until
know
they grew
what?
out.
I will not judge that if that
I
were the
will not
story.
judge that either.
Mm-mm.
Somebody shows up and goes to the hospital on December 28th, and the Crown tells us that she's going to be out of commission until Easter sometime. But now keep in mind, we're not even to Easter. A handful of weeks ago, they show the very first picture. It's a grainy picture of her supposedly in a car with her mother. She looks very bloated. It honestly, to me, doesn't look like her. It looks like Pippa. And I'm not saying Pippa looks very bloated, but it doesn't look like her. That's where people start to question it. But at this point, people are like, I don't give a shit about the royals. This is fine. And then they make the big mistake of posting her Mother's Day photo. So the Mother's Day photo is of her and her three children. And when they release it, it's so obviously photoshopped, like, to the point where people are actually speculating, and I honestly believe it because I've seen it like compared pixel to pixel, that her face on this Mother's Day photo was actually taken from a Vogue photo shoot she had done
Oh.
sometimes years ago. Because honestly, like in this photo, she looks a lot younger. I'm not blaming anybody. I've aged too, baby. But
Mm.
she definitely does not look the age she should be at this point. So that came out. People are like, this is photoshopped. The AP and like Getty Images and a lot of other organizations came out and said, we've rejected this photo.
Yeah.
The source, which means Kensington Palace and the royal family, has refused to provide us a backup, like an alternative photo. And so please do not share this photo anymore. Now, what I've learned about like the AP, etc., is they don't care if you increase the saturation. They don't care if you smooth some flyaways. But when there are changes to the photo that are so obviously not organic, that's the only reason they're rejecting it.
That was the first time I really didn't care. I was whatever. If she's worn out bangs or she had a weird
Mhm.
surgery, I could give no less shits.
Yep.
But as soon as I saw that AP thing, I'm like, hold up. That
That's
was when
Yeah,
I was like,
to look at that. I had seen it and I was like, that looks weird and moved on because I wasn't using it for anything. And I don't have any particular love for Kate. Again, I'm Harry and Meghan. I
Mhm.
ride for them all day long, though. I do want them to fade to the back a little bit. But I went back to see the photo and I was like, oh, I mean, like the reason my brain was like, that's weird on the first look is because it was weird.
It was weird. Now, Tanya, let me ask you, as a journalist, how often are they saying, we think this is doctored without any additional information, and they pull it entirely? Because there was a kill notification on this photo. Is
Yeah.
that normal?
In the last 2 years at my current gig, I haven't seen those, but we don't
Yeah.
use AP, and AP is the main place I've seen take this photo down kinds of things. But even then it was not like something you would get every day or once a week or
Yeah.
with any frequency. So it's certainly more the exception than the norm.
It's not common. So they took the photo down. Then Catherine, Princess Kate Middleton, Duchess, whatever you want to call her, comes out on her Twitter and says, and basically the photo had been attributed to Prince William, that he was taking the photo, and she comes out and says basically, like any other amateur photographer, I was playing around with Photoshop, and I apologize if there was any confusion about this picture I provided. Now, when you look at the picture itself, the things that are edited are very weird. There's no reason to edit them. Like Charlotte's sleeve is very weird. You can tell that this thing has been cobbled together. Even I could look at this and be like, this was obviously Photoshopped. And I know some people have some questions about, like, was this fully AI? No, I don't think it
Mhm.
was. Part of me thinks there was some question about all of the kids had been wearing those clothes at an event in December. And did we grab those pictures from them? My biggest concern is I really do believe the photo of her is from that Vogue cover shoot because her line of sight is different from the
Mhm.
kids. The kids are looking directly at the camera and she's looking off to the side. And it's the exact same thing when you're looking at that Vogue photo shoot picture. And people have put the Vogue photo shoot over the Mother's Day picture and we're like, it's the exact same picture. And I know you have people who are like, oh, she's just very practiced at smiling. No, I'm sorry. There is never a situation where our faces will exactly produce the same thing. The crow's feet are the same, the dimples are the same, every line in the face is the same, and her eye line is the same. And she's looking off in a different direction than her kids are looking directly at the
Yeah.
camera. Like Rachel, you mentioned earlier, I did not give a shit about this until it got weird.
Mhm.
And I think this is a perfect example of the Streisand effect. You did not need to release a photo for Mother's Day in the UK, right? Especially if we know you're like, whatever,
Right.
Recovering from
convalescing from
it.
some sort of issue. And they made it worse. And then they made it even worse when she came out and said, I did the photoshopping. Because who pictures that Kate Middleton at 10 o'clock at night is editing her own photos?
Well,
Nobody in
Thank you.
listen,
hell.
she's bedridden. Maybe that was all she had to do. Lord,
I'm
She
bored.
was
remember
bored.
that
I've
lady?
used up
And we joke
Sudoku
about her,
can't.
bless her heart. We joke about that lady, but remember the lady that was like, "I'm gonna fix this painting," and she's like, "Fix," and then she that painting of Jesus, and
Yeah. Oh,
that was Kate in her bed, and she was like, I cut my hair or whatever. I'm gonna fix this," and she got to fixing.
Was Ambien involved? Because I know people blame shit on Ambien before.
Maybe she with no painkillers from her surgery. I don't know.
girl was
Maybe
high.
Dude,
she maybe that
Allegedly.
was how she got going on the thing.
I call bullshit because we know that these people have their own press corps, that
Yep.
they've got their own people who craft the narrative, who work on this shit, who talk to journalists, who talk to the Daily Rag, whatever's going on in Britain, which are terrible in the tabloids and stuff. They have a relationship. They are doing all that stuff. I cannot believe that picture didn't go through that press
Layers,
corps. Where
Did
I'm
it
like,
see the light of day? I will
thank you.
never understand. And now keep in mind, I like,
because Kate did the work on it. She fixed, she dotted it up, and then maybe she demanded that they put that particular photo up, and they are employees and not friends, and so maybe they said,
Maybe.
"Princess, this is not a good look. We shouldn't be doing
Was
this."
this like a CEO saying, "Hey, go put this out on social
Yes,
media," and the person's like,
and everybody in
no,
marketing is
instead, get it up. Get that photo up by 8 sharp in the US for everyone to see it.
hashtags.
well, then it got even better.
Oh
So
my.
then after that, they posted this picture that was supposed to be a picture of them in a car together. And Will was supposed to be heading off to some sort of like official event. And Kate was supposed to be going to a personal appointment, heavy quotes. Even if you're trying to convince an entire globe that they are like just fine marital wise, The two people in the picture that you see could not be any further apart. They are trying to escape the car that they're in because
Yep.
they do not want to be any closer to themselves. So in the foreground, Will, and he's like on the phone, whatever. Then you supposedly see Kate, and she's turned 80 degrees to, or 90 degrees, whatever, to the other side of the car. And first of all, her profile does not look like her profile at all. Like, she's got like more of a chin than she normally
Mm.
does. And I've looked at everything, and I don't like to be conspiracy theorist, but that's not her ear. That's not her chin. Okay. I will tell you that. So she's staring that they could look not any more interested in each other than at all possible. Like, it's wild how badly, even if you're trying to convince us that they're like totally happy and everything's fine, that was not the picture to do it, even if that was Kate.
Mhm.
But I also don't think that was Kate. So you could see the brick through the window, right, of the wall they were outside,
Yeah.
and then you could see the brick outside of the car, and it was entirely different. I put on my tinfoil hat. This is so ham-fisted, right? For a group of people that have so much fucking money and so many resources, are they trying to push us off? They're trying to distract us from something else that's happening because it's
And what
so
is the
bad. Like,
influence?
these people have more money than fucking God, and they can't get a good, apparently a good photoshopper, which, like, Rachel, I'd put you on that and you'd be great and you'd fix it.
That brick would look
Yeah,
uniform, is all I'm
exactly.
saying.
Right.
Exactly. And you're not on the roster of the royal family.
Hey, you were just talking about AI earlier. I could go use
Mhm.
Canva right now and say, "Hey, make sure that
Exactly.
brick up there matches that brick," and it would.
Exactly. So there's something weird going on. And then our mutual friend Samantha told me as I was on the car driving my daughter home, but she was explaining that apparently, which I had just learned, she was supposed to be at an event in June, which is this event that like celebrates the something of the colors. I forget what it's called. And everybody's at it, right? And a couple of months ago, they said Kate wouldn't be at it, which is like unheard of, that she would
Because
not
of her
be
surgery?
attending, but they didn't say. And also, it's in June. So if you're getting surgery in December, which is what we assumed, late December, right? Why can't you attend this event in June that is huge for your family, right?
Is
There's
this a
something
facelift? What
ju-
could she be having done that she doesn't want anybody looking at her real closely for 6 months?
that's what I can't understand.
And it's
Is
none
like,
of our business really.
it's none of
However,
our business.
you made it
I
our
like how we
business.
just now mentioned it's none of our business. Yeah, it's
It's
always been none of our
However,
business.
disclosure. It ain't none of our business. However,
It is our business.
once they
There's a
started
difference.
engaging with the public about this photo and photoshopping it and all that kind of stuff, then
Yeah.
it's our business.
open the
Before
door.
then, it was jokes. People make jokes about them every day, all day long. People survive the BBL and the bangs jokes.
Yep.
This photoshopped picture with a response like, "Oh, ha, ha, I did that." Now you've engaged the
It
public
gets worse and
and
worse.
Mm,
like every other thing you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
The Spanish press actually said
Kind of
that
like
she was in a coma, intubated, and for a while there, it was like
Touch and go.
touch and go. From everything I've seen from the very beginning of their relationship, even when I remember them starting to date, because I'm old enough to remember that, she was desperate to be princess, she was desperate to be queen. I do not think she would just randomly leave, regardless of what was happening.
Mhm.
Because if you watch the beginning of their relationship, he was fully uninterested, and she kept coming back and
Mhm.
coming back. And I'm honestly not judging her because do what you got to do, girl. That's
Yeah.
fine.
If The Crown is to be believed, the show, her mom was like super, "Ooh,
pushing
maybe
her
don't shut that
like
door.
social
You do don't."
climber. But I guess I'm just like, why? And maybe this is because I'm not. And I said my sister-in-law was British, but she's English.
Mm. Yes.
I don't live there. And so as a result, I guess I don't see like why would I want to live underneath all that scrutiny every day?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of money and you get to wear crowns and pretty clothes. But you gotta deal with this bullshit. It ain't worth it to me.
I was listening to NPR, I think, today, just again on the way home. So I wasn't listening to Sam, who's Elizabeth's NPR, which, as she
She
rightfully
doesn't
should be
call
on this
you and
topic.
tell you all about the
No, I
royal
talked to you.
news.
I have you. But King Charles has cancer, which it does beg the question, would this be such a big deal if that wasn't also in the backdrop?
I agree. Yep.
But they were talking about how William and Kate really do try to run their own narrative, and that King Charles has really tried to say he's trying to put up more of a front of the royals of saying we're not just here to dress up pretty and do all this pomp and circumstance. He's actually trying to make them look like there's a utility to them.
Mm.
They did mention that polling in Great Britain is still heavily it's in favor of the royals. They like the institution, they want it. I've talked to, again, anecdotally, talked to a few English folks who have lived there, have born and raised there. The royals are their thing. Whether or not they don't really figure in politics so much, they are ceremonial, but that's what they want. You know,
But what is
Kate,
it that they like about it? I will ask
why
sister-in-law.
don't you ask your
We
friend?
have never talked about
But yeah,
we should
I
do.
know. Just say, maybe ask your friend, say, okay, let's imagine you were like marrying age when William was single. Would you have been like, oh, please, I want to be your princess? Would a normal,
She was not that thing about it.
The
She
royal
was
family.
here
yeah.
and she married my brother and she didn't get to go back to me.
They ask her, say, well, it's because I had no shot with William. And I came to your brother who wound up being awesome and better. So
They
weird.
locked her down and trapped her here in the States.
So yeah, we'll have to keep following up
Apparently
Facebook,
not good marketing for Kensington Palace.
though.
That's the part that gets me.
We are talking about it, and
We are
there's still
talking
We
all,
are.
about it. But are we talking about the way
however,
they want us to talk about it?
right.
No.
So I speculated this, and anyone who's English and is super into the royals, you can hate me all you want for speculating this. Feel free. I will take it. I speculated that this is on purpose because
Mm-hmm.
the more people are chattering about the royals, they stay relevant.
Yeah.
Even if people are like, oh, I'm sick of them, but you're not, though. It's the Howard Stern effect where it's, I can't stand you, but I'm going to tune in every goddamn day.
Hate
Because
watching.
Yeah, the hate
exactly.
watching. I
I
hate
gotta
watch
hate watch
a
ya.
bunch of things.
That's
Yeah.
That
right.
is very true. They did their
Mhm.
job. I think the Royals are starting to understand that, like, they're on their last legs
Yeah.
with the public, and they're trying to take it as far as they possibly can. I wish the best for Kate. I don't want her to actually be in a mental
Yeah.
issue
No,
Yeah.
we don't want that.
Coma
No.
or anything
situation.
like
Yeah.
that.
Which
Yeah.
it'd be easy in that situation for
Yeah.
sure.
But I think they are using this, especially with, like you guys said, Charles's cancer diagnosis. I don't know who, I feel like there are just hands like being like, look over here, no, look over here, no,
Yeah.
look over
Mhm.
here. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll only find out
But were
when
people really
we
that worried
get
about
to find
Charles? I
out.
mean, were they really gonna be the fall of the monarchy because Charles
When that's your only lifeline, I think it feels more serious than it would to us.
okay.
So if you hear he literally just became king and now he has, what is it, prostate cancer?
Yeah.
You're like, what are we going to do?
Been thinking about using an AI generated headshot on your LinkedIn profile? Remember the lessons of the Willy Wonka experience and why bait and switch isn't the best way to get new connections to trust you. If your LinkedIn profile could use a good dust off in the right ways, I've got you. Connect with Rachel Moore on www.butwaitthere'smore.com/contact to get started with your LinkedIn profile review. But wait, there's more, MOORE.com. As much as any listeners across the pond really would rather we bring our attention back across to our side, we're not going there yet. We're going to go north of London, actually. We're going to go up to Glasgow. And we are going to talk about, which we've had on the docket for a while, but it is still relevant, and I'll tell you why. Because apparently up for auction are the backdrops and pieces that were put into play for a singular Willy Wonka experience. Now, if you have lived under a rock and have not heard of the Willy Wonka experience, and it hasn't been in your zeitgeist for the last, 4 to 6 weeks, we know what was happening, let us talk about it because this ties into AI generated images. I will take this one if it's okay. Those of you may or may not have seen the latest Willy Wonka movie. There have been several. So obviously we've got the one with Gene Wilder, way back in the day in the 1900s, for those of you who are too young to remember. But Gene Wilder played Willy Wonka, and it was called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You're not seeing this, but Tanya's swaying. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure
Your
imagination.
imagination.
Ah, love it. Very dreamlike and stuff, yet a little bit creepy. And let's be clear, the story is based off a book by Roald Dahl, who hates children, by the way. So if you read the book is not nice to kids. It's about awful kids and the fact that he hates them, except for one. Then there was another movie that came out a little bit more recently with Johnny Depp playing Willy Wonka, and it's
I
called
forgot all about that particular Willy Wonka.
That one
I
sucks.
never saw it, so it didn't matter.
directed by Tim Burton, and it's Charlie
And
and the
I love
Chocolate
Tim
Factory.
Burton, and the fact that I hated that one tells you
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And that one, to me, felt a little more true to probably the book because Willy Wonka does not like kids in that book. He's just anti-child in that, and it's super weird. But then there's been a latest installment, and that has Timothée Chalamet, Cutie Patootie, who's also the lead actor in Dune and other things, but he's having a
They
moment.
made 3 of these movies. I feel like the first installment was we could have put the period on it right then. But anyway,
It was great. Timothy did a pretty good job, in my opinion. I personally thought the movie was delightful and whimsical and all those
okay,
things, but nobody has to share that opinion.
I'll go watch it.
So Willy Wonka was in the zeitgeist in Glasgow. And Glasgow. I believe it's Glasgow. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. You know what? Pause. Glasgow pronunciation.
This is why we have these devices that connects us to this tool.
Glasgow. I'm saying
The people of Scotland will come in.
I don't want them to,
tar
because
and
those are
feather
my
me.
people. Scotland, you are my people, because my heritage is from Scotland. So Glasgow. An event was put together that would be the Willy Wonka experience in Glasgow. And when they marketed this event to sell tickets, and you can Google this, the pictures look fantastical. They
amazing.
Are pure color. Oh my gosh, I'm going to walk down a pathway that's lined with lollipops, and it's vivid colors, just fantastical, beautiful, idyllic landscapes. It's gorgeous. You're like, oh my God, I can't wait to go. And so these families bought these tickets.
And they were like 30 pounds.
They were not cheap. Yes. Because conversion rate over here, that's what, $70, $80 for us.
Something,
so it's not cheap. So these families bought these tickets, and when they arrived to the event, instead of seeing what they saw in the marketing images, they pretty much entered what looked like a warehouse with big skylight glass all across the ceiling. There were 2 backdrops pinned up against the complete concrete wall. So gray slab concrete all on the wall, but they have 2 little backdrops just posted up there like someone just tacked them up last minute.
So this was really in the scam factory.
Green turf. There was one area maybe that had some vision, and they had some like big, tall, human-sized lollipops and candy canes and what have you. But most of it was those black curtain room partitions. Y'all know what I'm talking about? It's got like the gray poles. You hang black drapes from them, and that's how you make like walls or separators. And they had created kind of a maze. That's when it started turning into a nightmare, because this was a Willy Wonka themed experience, but they had generated the marketing images purely from AI. And then I guess what happened was they also had a script. So they had hired actors, and they had used AI to generate the script, create a script for an experience of Willy Wonka's world of imagination. So AI, in its infinite wisdom, decided to create a brand new character that was about some kind of creature that creeps out of the walls and tries to steal your candy. So they had a character that had this kind of metallic, glassy looking mask, just so you can't see the person except their eyes through it, and a big black robe like a Dementor, and it pops out at you from behind a mirror. So
the unknown.
So they had children crying. There's a lady dressed like an Oompa Loompa at a table who looks like someone just killed a family member, and she's got a green wig on. She's not orange. And all the actors came out later, and they're like, we didn't know what the fuck was going on. Paraphrasing.
And FYI, they still have not been paid.
Oh my God, I did not know that. Maybe the auction was.
I've not been paid.
Scam. Okay, scammers. Okay.
But the guy who played Willy Wonka, he's the actor who'd said, I'll do this. They gave him a script the night before, and he's reading, and he's trying to make sense of this because I'm an actor. I want to go earn some money. And he said that him and all the other actors are like, what are we doing here? And the families were so upset that they called the police to come, because they're like, there is fraud happening here. And the police arrived. They're like, what's happening? Fraud perpetrated on the public. But it all boils back to how this event was marketed versus how the reality played out. So
Mhm.
do with that as you will. Go for it. What are, because the dangers of AI is
Expecting to get what they were sold or the
Yes.
dream, "You sold me this
Yes.
dream."
it was a world of bad imagination. It was after you've been tortured and possibly fed castor oil and all the bad things that happened. Oh, it was bad.
It's a
So
scam, they scammed them out of their money, that's basically what this sounds.
they scam them out of their money, but my question is this opens up a whole like conversation about AI, right?
Mhm.
Is the
Mhm.
responsibility for the marketers or is the responsibility for the consumers? And in this case, if you actually look back and see like what the images were that they were sold to sign up for this experience, they were clearly AI. First of all,
Yeah.
most of them were misspelled. And they were just like AI images that you're like, This is not real." And now I'm not blaming the consumers of this giant shit show. Like, I understand. I would be so upset. I'm not blaming you for being upset about it. But when you're looking at how they promoted it, it was
Mhm.
all AI images.
Yep.
They were not taking pictures of what it was actually going to look like. And my question is, yeah, as we start to grapple with AI, where does our responsibility end and the
Mhm.
responsibility of the consumer begin? And I wanted to talk about that. I don't want these kids to be sad. Believe me, that's really horrible. But there were parents looking at these pictures. And if you look at the pictures of their promotions, I would be like, this is not telling me anything about this experience. This is not telling me what it will actually look like. But
Yeah.
you had an inordinate number of parents who were like, oh, this tells me that this is really exciting and really immersive. Looked
I
at like,
wonder immersive.
Not seen hadn't seen any of them.
Oh my god, you're just, like, seeing it
are you just
now?
looking now?
Yes. Oh my god, I'm so here for your reactions.
No, oh my god, I can see why they were super upset, but also I get what you're saying, Elizabeth, in that is what they use to promote it does not look real.
You
No.
know, and the only thing I'll say too, I wonder if they were thinking, "Hey, it's immersive. Are they gonna go put them in VR or something?
Like,
They're gonna
yeah,
come in
Oh,
and
that's
experience
interesting.
it."
yeah.
So, I will also point out, apparently, Willy Wonka's chocolate factory experience, there was no chocolate.
There was no chocolate. They gave them jelly beans and like lemonade.
They didn't
I
even
w
get
They
gobstoppers.
literally didn't
I wanna
walk
see
away from
Willy
this
Wonka.
experience with
I was like,
chocolate.
I want some
I would have cried at the no chocolate and been like, "Oh, hell no."
See,
Um,
okay, I will fully admit, and this is where everybody ends up hating me. I do not like chocolate, but if I'm going to a chocolate experience, I better get fucking chocolate. Don't
that's
like
his whole
chocolate.
River O chocolate. That was
Apparently, the kids got like a few jelly beans and some like lemonade. And I follow
You
this
still
guy
don't
who
get
was
the
talking about it, who
everlasting
lives in England, and he's British lemonade isn't good. Our lemonade
oh.
isn't good. But chocolate of all, God forbid, hand them a fucking size Snickers bar, Twix
No,
bar,
it's like,
whatever.
no.
They handed them jelly beans.
Okay, even if they're not gonna give them chocolate, they could have given them the one candy that I have mentioned 45 times now, everlasting
The
gobstopper.
everlasting, which was always disappointing. I remember as a kid wanting it to look like the actual
Yeah.
gobstopper in the movie, and it didn't. I remember being so mad
Or
about
at
that.
least get some Toblerone in there, man. I'll take some Toblerone. But
A
I
fucking M&M. If you're talking to me
anything.
about chocolate, it should be M&M over a jelly bean. What
Or
the hell?
lollipops at
Yeah.
minimum. I'm like, "You've got life."
Wait, there's a
Totally
whole
think
site that's Wonka.com with all sorts of candy on it that people could have.
they coulda
Oh, but
gotten it.
they're gummies. What the
So
heck?
I Elizabeth, I know you talking about being more educated purchasing audience, right? Here's the warning for marketers. One, if you're going to develop an event or content that's based off well-known material
Mhm.
like Willy Wonka, you better make damn sure that the material and that
Yes.
your marketing and experience, because there was that expectation. Had this been a completely fabricated experience, just make up whatever name you want about some experience that's going to be great for kids and have a lot of candy or something, everybody's going into that cold, right? They're like, okay,
Yeah.
I've only got what you are giving me. But if you're saying it's going to be Willy Wonka, there was just a movie with Timothy Chalamet flying in the air with chocolate and raining down on people, I'm going to have a preconception.
Yeah.
Also, if you're marketing, you're creating these materials, you're making something brand new, make for damn sure that the user experience mirrors what you're giving them in the marketing. And that's a complete bait and switch to say, hey, we just threw these together. And then here we've used some scotch tape to put together this event for you with some turf we got from Home Depot.
Yep.
Everybody in marketing has been seeing these and be like, well, there you fucking go. When you get people who don't know what they're doing, and event professionals that I'm friends with too are just, look, it proves that AI is not going to be taking over events or experiences like that. And it
Yeah.
certainly shouldn't completely take over marketing. And for fuck's sake, if any of you listening to this are marketers and you're like, I'm just letting AI run everything for me, quit.
Here's
Yep.
here's your example for why that's a terrible idea.
Exactly.
You sold them a bag of beans, magic beans, and then
Bag of beans.
yeah, I laughed, but yes, I get why these parents were upset. The images to look fantastical. That is a great word to use, fantastical.
Because they're AI.
But what
That's
they
right.
got was some thrown together something that, like my Purple Rain costume last week with some glue and
You look great.
Oh, so good.
spit or whatever. And it wasn't even something that was polished enough for them to be like, okay, obviously it wasn't going to be this thing, but this thing that we did get it was still cool. They didn't even get that.
That's what I don't understand. It would be so easy not to do this. I
Mhm.
don't know. I'm never going to be able to
No,
explain
there's
it.
never going to
It's
be
like,
a shortage of people that are ready to separate others from their money.
Well,
yeah.
and people who will invest in that again, because God, look at Fire Festival. What's his
Oh,
face is still in action. People
Yeah,
giving him
he's
money
doing
apparently.
Firefest 2 or whatever.
So
Yeah.
everyone said this was the Fire Festival of Willy Wonka experience. You say podcasting, I say trust casting. Whether that makes you think of magic spells or fly fishing, trust casting is the way your business can market your brand and get your customers to trust you. Podcasting, event moderation, LinkedIn profiles. These are the ways we build credibility in today's marketing methods. Start trust casting today with But Wait There's More marketing services. Visit butwaitthere'smore, MOORE.com to cast trust to your target audience today. All right, co-hosts of mine, let's leave the UK and we're going to fly back to the United States. As we go get on the airplane, we notice that is a Boeing
So then we get
737.
What? That's us being sucked out of the plane.
That's right. Elizabeth, I'll toss this over to you because I believe Boeing's having a bit of a moment, and maybe Delta?
All right. So Delta blows my mind. In the wake of us talking about Boeing and how people are literally being like potentially sucked out of planes, which like you should be real careful about what you're doing right now. Delta has decided that they are charging more for the first and second checked bags of the people who are flying Delta. And in my head, I just don't understand that, like, when we're arguing about whether or not people even make it to their destination,
Yes!
we are suddenly being like, let's charge you more
Let me ask
for
you,
your checked bags.
what I tend to fly Southwest just because the organizing of how we get on the plane works for me. I know for a lot of people, the cattle call doesn't work. It works for me. I get there, I pick a seat, I sit in it, and I'm all good. So why is Southwest able to do this and the other airlines are having to raise fees? Because are Southwest ticket prices that much lower? They don't have the number of international flights like Delta and stuff, but they are also partnering with international airlines too. I don't understand. And I also try not to ever check a bag ever if I can help it because the waiting at the end for the bag.
I don't like losing my luggage, which has
Yeah.
happened. So
I hate that part, the waiting for the bag to
Yeah.
come off the carousel.
which is also just a security fiasco because take whatever one you want. Nobody's
So I'm
checking.
going to tell you that I'm horrible because I have a lot of like skincare, hair care, makeup, vibes that I want to make sure that I have checked because they do
Yes.
not follow the 3-ounce rule. But especially because every time you're carrying on a bag and you get up to the gate and they have you
Yep.
check the bag at the gate,
Mhm.
right? That happened to me the other day. I was with my mom. I had to check the bag, and it's really frustrating because it's like it's so expensive to begin with, right? And I feel like I shouldn't have to deal with this because I'm like, God forbid I have like my conditioner, my face serum, my face moisturizer.
They just fold
They
it
need to
into the
go
ticket
in the
price
ticket
because
price.
all that happens is everybody's like, "To hell with this, I'm not doing it." They're putting wearing 75 layers of clothes and all this stuff to try to get around the
Mhm.
rules just to do for what happened to you the other day. Eventually, like 4 or 5 people can make it, and then we gotta stop
Yeah.
the rest of these 20 because you can't bring all those bags on here and they gate check them. Put it in the ticket price. We're already mad about the ticket price, but people are determined to fly hither and yon, tack it onto the ticket price because again, I fly Southwest because I like the cattle call thing. But
But I bet
it doesn't hurt that when I do need to check a bag, it's free.
do you make sure you're in the A group when
Always.
you
You know
Okay,
that I
see,
will
so
wait
you
5
are almost guaranteed to get your
minutes.
carry-on up there.
Yeah,
I
you're first.
I
They're
am
not
that
worried about.
person that sets an alarm so that I can be up and my finger is hovering over the button because I paid for the whatever to do it automatically and it didn't put me in the right group. So I was like, never
Oh,
again. It didn't seem worth it since I wasn't as close up as it is when I just do it. So I will set the clock for whatever because I didn't take the first flight and
yeah.
press the button so that I can check in. So yes, I'm generally in that first A group so that I can get my bag on.
See, but I
But
think you game the system that system with Southwest. But anyway, I know we
I
could
can't
be
do that
railing,
with
but
Delta, you're right. I can't do it
right.
with United or some of the other airlines. But I also think they should just if they are determined for people to pay for their bags being checked, it should be when you pay for your plane ticket, this is the way I think it should work, But obviously greater minds than me decided differently.
Yeah, greater minds
Pay
like
for your
Delta, apparently.
pay it just folded into the price of the plane ticket and the way it used to be before they decided to
Yeah.
separate it out or to make this an extra fee or whatever and
yeah.
put the bags under the damn plane or whatever but everybody's trying to work the system and then now we're going to raise that fee. Just go ahead and raise the
Mhm.
ticket. We already know that we are being stuck by a paper when we show
But don't raise it if these planes are falling out of the sky. Is that
this
where
is
we're going
true.
with this? Because
If me
Yeah.
and my luggage will be sucked out of the plane, I probably would like to pay less for that experience.
I want to talk about the fact that, like with Air Portugal, I had an issue where, so we were going onto our first flight, and there was nobody at the check-in counter, right? Nobody, and I had to throw away like probably $100 worth of product to
ah,
get within the 3-ounce recommendation. And then we go on the flight. That's fine. We get to our layover and they decide that they are going to charge my husband $160 for his carry-on. And I try to say, we had a free carry-on, but nobody was at your counter. And they were like, we don't give a shit. So when I think about what we were charged to get our flight back to New York or whatever, it was probably like $200
mm,
between the actual luggage check over fee and then how much I had thrown out in product. It was like $200. And so
wow.
I will die mad at Air Portugal. And then I even tweeted them and was like, what the fuck, guys? Do you want to fix this? And they were like, no,
No.
you're fine.
Wow.
It was the weirdest situation I've ever experienced.
Inherently,
Okay,
it's
yeah, your carry-on made it. It's fine.
didn't just come out of nowhere. You were
Yeah,
already on a plane where it was
exactly.
fine.
Listen, let me
Oh.
ask
That
you a question though. When you layover, was the layover in the US or
No.
that's why.
And a mutual friend of ours has
That's
said that was it a lot of like people to the US who were being targeted for this? And I was like, yeah.
well, I
Oh.
don't know that they were like that may be, but my guess is because everything is so super crazy strict
Yeah.
on flying into the
No, it was a very weird situation where I think they were like targeting particular people. It was like an odd thing where they were like corralling people in different areas. But and then I tried to tell them I had a free checked bag and you fuckers weren't there when I tried to check my bags.
That goes to your point that they have an extraordinary amount of power over consumers,
Yeah.
where you're talking about you've got fucking Boeing planes that are jeopardizing people's lives to the point where they're like, I will not get on that plane because of
Yeah.
Boeing now is in trouble. Which, by the way, that whistleblower for Boeing was found dead as if by suicide by
Yeah.
gunshot, which is super fishy because he was in the middle of testifying in a case that he's brought against Boeing because he blew the whistle on them. So super sketch. But yeah, it just feels there's no consumer power there. And it does make me jealous, not to go talk again about Europe and being across the pond. I would love to take the train anywhere I need to
bullet
go
trains are
versus
such
flying.
mhm,
But we can't because
yeah.
United States gigantic, and also we want to try to go somewhere that's remotely cooler than United States, which should be literally anywhere else sometimes. It does feel like in Delta just being like, we don't fucking care. Air Portugal was like, we don't care. We're going to charge you for those
Yeah.
extra bags. We don't care that there's shit going on with Boeing planes. They don't care about public perception. It's wild to me.
No.
I think they do care, but I think they've decided that
People are going to pay it,
They
you
know.
know?
we
People are
care,
gonna
but y'all might have to be mad because
Yeah, die
ultimately
mad, go cry.
fuel costs this and union costs that and blah blah. And I don't want to be an apologist for the airlines or whatever. I'm just saying I don't know what their profit margin looks like.
Yeah.
As of December 2023, Delta's quarterly financials, their revenue was $14.22 billion, which was 5.87 more
Than
than
what they had before.
prior. Yeah. I'm just
I
saying,
can
billion seems like a big number.
poach.
No, no,
I can get off your poach trash myself.
get off your poach. That brings us, we're just talking about consumers generally. Are consumers turned off or not? Maybe we are sometimes, but we still pay. Let us,
Circling
yeah.
back because we were talking about Delta and you saying if they care about how they're perceived. Didn't they give Risa Tisa a ticket to London? Didn't they say we'll fly her to London? So
They won.
they
Yeah.
care.
They
Because
won somebody.
she and her luggage hopefully will arrive there safely.
So I actually, in my zeitgeist, I follow a TikTok account where a girl plays two roles. One is her, and she's just a normal person, and she's talking to her other self, which is the printer she's trying to print to.
Okay.
And I adore this account because all of us feel this pain. So basically, she's like, "What do you mean you can't print? I just sent a print job, and you have plenty of toner." No, I'm black. And then it goes back. She's like, "No, I just bought you new toner." And then like, I'm on the same Wi-Fi network. Why aren't you printing? Like, you don't have the right password. And then she's, I need you to print this. There, it says there's a misfeed. Yeah, I'm totally jammed up in here. Let's talk about, we talked about subscriptions
Mhm.
and that kind of pricing model. And is it fucked up or not? Is this the way of the future? And should it be? Like, is everyone, I love, Elizabeth, I'll let you say, your line in here is great in the notes about if companies have lost the plot. Carry on with that.
Yeah. Have companies lost the plot when it comes to subscription services? Like, we, at the beginning of the whole subscription services thing, we thought maybe this is the way to go. And when it comes to HP printers, that the fact that they're using subscription services is really interesting. Are they starting to turn off consumers when we have to have a subscription? So we talk about people all the time where they're like, I'm so sick when it comes to Netflix or Hulu or whatever, being on a subscription service. And now HP printers are doing the exact same thing. I can determine the number of pages I can print each month. But is that something you want to be doing? I can't use my printer all that often. It breaks down. I'm
Like, well,
I'm having a
how
hard
is this
connection
subscription service
problem.
set up? Explain it to me, please.
All right.
I did not.
So they're deciding that you can buy a monthly subscription
Mhm.
to your printer.
Nah.
Yeah. So you can say, okay, every month I want to be able to print 30 pages, right?
And is this the only way you can use your Oh,
Yes. For a
no.
lot of these
Oh, no. Because in one
I
month, I may never print, and then the next month, maybe I need to print 30 pages.
but I
And
bought the
I've already
printer
invested
and
in
I
the
should
I
just be
own
able
it.
to print.
But then that
Yeah.
brings us back to the cars. Remember, there's something I got an old lady car. No, actually, I have a cute car, but it's not new. But isn't there like subscription services with cars?
Yeah.
Like for some service in cars, remind me.
No, they
Yes.
do with the apps and stuff you can use in it, whether it's safety or security or tracking or whatever. But a lot of that's subscription based.
No,
I don't like this.
Yeah,
I'm not a
I don't
fan.
like this either.
I'm
And
a
I
fan.
will tell you, I have a printer in my house that has not worked for a good amount of time, so we can't use it.
Oh.
So if I need to have something printed out, I send it to my in-laws or I send it to
Mhm.
fucking Staples or whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can be like, okay, I can print X number of sheets every month. And every time I go past that number of sheets, I'm going to be charged a premium is
Ah, let me pose this. I don't have to print that often
Mhm.
because digital. And I know that's widespread, but there are still absolutely business
need to print.
reasons that
Mhm.
people do need to print a hard document out. So I wonder if this is them saying, look, we know we're becoming the stone tablets. Not so much. Is there a way we can get as much money as we can from entities that have to print
Yeah.
still? And is that the way they're trying to say it? It feels like we were just talking about airlines. We try to fly Frontier, or what's the one that nobody likes?
Spirit.
Spirit, thank you.
Spirit.
I love that you knew it right away.
Mhm.
Good marketing, Spirit. But everything is a fee. Everything's an add-on. So I could buy a ticket on Spirit, but everything's add-on. So we just said I could buy a printer. I own the printer, mine, but in order to actually use it effectively, I have to add on all this shit.
And doesn't that remind you of the shit we saw with the add-ons with Wendy's surge pricing last week that we were talking about?
It does remind me of that.
It's a very similar vibe. I'm going to pay more depending on when I need this product. And instead of being able to be like, I bought the printer, I can print at whatever point I want to, and paper will come out and it doesn't matter. And I think we're getting to the point, and I would like to talk about this more on our next episode, where it's like subscription pricing is very interesting. And I will personally tell you, I love subscriptions. I think they're really interesting, but we're getting to the point where subscriptions are becoming like they're
Mhm.
dominating our lives and they're
Well,
not benefiting us in any way.
here's my thinking with this HP thing is that people just won't buy HP printers. You know what I'm saying? Like I have another brand of printer back here behind me. I can't think of the
I have a
name.
Is it
Canon.
brother?
No, Canon, I think. I don't know.
I got
Anyway,
one. I
Okay.
have one too.
when it was during the pandemic, I needed to print something. I told my regular date, I was like, I'm gonna email you something, like print it and bring me that. And what he did was he just showed up with a printer. So here you
That's good.
go, print. And that is, but I can also count on almost how little I've used that printer. So a subscription service would not work, and I would not be buying a HP if I were in the
Yeah.
market for one.
It is super interesting. I have another subscription model that we buy into literally. Here, we subscribe to Alamo Drafthouse. My husband's
Oh.
got a subscription to that.
Oh,
Like we
$19.99
were
a
both
month.
like, oh, we can subscribe to that. We didn't know, girl.
Now
I
that,
don't have one near
yes.
me.
So he gets to see one movie a day with a person. He
One
gets
movie
him
a
and a person.
That's pretty
You can
good.
go see up to
day,
one movie a day, all day, all month. And so we will
30
go.
movies.
Yes, you can go every day if you want, and you pay $20 for the pass each month, and you get it
And if
of the
you go
food you buy.
one time, you've spent the $20. I mean, you've gotten your
That's right.
oh
If
my
you
Yep.
go even really 2 movies at max, and then you're paid for the month. So we go see a lot of movies. Now, to me, I'm getting a benefit from that. That to me is like saying if I was paying one out of my pocket every time, that's way more money.
Yeah.
But you know what this reminds me of? How like when you are learning, and I'm still really bad with money, but you know how like when you are taught you're going to buy a car or you're going to buy a house and you need to look at the entire mortgage, you need to look at the interest rate, but it's this monthly payment. That's what this feels like. Like it's saying, hey, don't pay no attention to that really large amount of money you're
The
going to wind
interest
up
rate.
spending
Yep.
with interest and everything. Only focus on what that little bit we're asking you to pay per month. That's affordable. And instead, it's really tapping to that short term. I'm going to ignore what the big picture cost to me is because I'm just looking at it from a month to month basis. Meanwhile, all of us could go look right now at all the streaming services and things we subscribe to and be like, holy hell, I'm paying as much as I did with cable and stuff like that. So that's what it feels like. Meh, I don't like it.
It's so true.
But I subscribe to it.
You got me all over here looking for the Apple
Yes.
Draft House.
Go get your pass. It's awesome.
And near
not
me.
that far
It makes
from
me
me.
sad.
Nice. I went there to see Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, we like it. We have a big one, a big screen near us. We went and saw Dune on it and stuff. That's about 40-minute drive, but it's worth it.
When I was with my mom in Denver, we kept driving past one right by her house. And I was like, I would have been there all the time. That's so cool.
Was it the Sloan's Lake one or Littleton or you don't have to get too specific?
She lived off of Colfax, I think.
Yeah, that's the Sloan's Lake one.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. Yeah, we go to that one a lot.
My sister and I kept seeing it and I was like, oh, I'd be so excited because the only other time I've been to one of their events was when I went to Austin, Texas for the Gilmore Girls ATX reunion. And I went to the Bunheads thing and it was awesome. And then you have all the cool alcoholic stuff. It was awesome.
Oh, they do like custom menu. I shout out Alamo all the time.
I was there very early, so it was like I didn't get to understand it as cool as I could when I was old, but because it was very early in the day.
Yeah,
so I was going to have a bunch of like alcoholic shakes and
which you could have had a mimosa
stuff.
Yeah. No, one other shout out to Alamo before I do want to get to something that I think that Tanya and I got by you, Elizabeth. But Alamo does, by the way, they do customized pre-show, not the stupid shit Regal and stuff where it's like, oh my god, super loud advertising and stuff. So like for Kung Fu Panda, my husband and kid just went to see that. They do a bunch of YouTube videos that people have made about pandas and things like that. It's just it's all funny and cute, but it always relates to what you're going to see in the movie. I hear tell that, Elizabeth, you have a favorite kind that I think you like to get. And I actually, Tanya and I think fell into your sway.
I forgot we were taping today, and I was like, I'm going to get me another one today.
So I think I may have mentioned in our last podcast or whatever, but I was with my mom in Colorado at the hospital that she was in that had a full-scale Starbucks, which was the dream. And they had the lavender latte. And they had little samples of it. It was delicious. Now, my sister will tell you, we've been saying for the last couple of years, why isn't Starbucks doing like a lavender latte? That's very weird because it's like a very popular thing. And then we thought it was exciting that when we got there, they were finally doing the lavender latte.
I realized yesterday I got the frap because I had seen it in the thing before, but it said oat milk, and y'all know I don't do oat milk. So I scrolled down to my old faithfuls, which I tend to do the lemonade kind of drinks, or my matchas, or maybe a foggy.
So
that
I had
lavender frap was delicious.
And I got last out of this group because today I was co-working with someone and I was at a coffee shop nearby that nobody knows about apparently, and they have all the tables with all the power outlets. And I don't want anyone to know about it because they can if they go look at my TikTok. But I went up and they said their drink of the month was a lavender matcha latte.
Oh,
that's what Starbucks was offering.
So
and immediately I thought of Tanya because she
I have hibiscus
matcha
powder in here. I have matcha powder in here. So let me figure out how to get some lavender powder in.
And I do oat milk. That's mine. So I had it made with oat milk, sweet matcha, and then so those of you listening, you should, if you haven't tried a lavender latte of some kind, you should get got as well.
Yeah,
because it was
get got.
Get got.
I don't do any. I do soy, and that's it. I can't do any of those nut milks.
Hey, everybody's got their milk, their favorite milk. It's all good.
Here's what I realized yesterday when I was getting the frap. So I'm like, "Duh."
Nice.
And I was like, "No to that. Let's get this other milk that I actually can digest without
It's
issue."
subscription based. Get your milk all the time. All right, we are at the end of the show. Let's finish up with how can we find and follow you, Elizabeth, wherever you will be on the social medias.
So follow me on Elizabeth Allen 1001 on LinkedIn. That's where you can find me.
And she's a content marketer extraordinaire who is looking for her next magical journey step. And if you don't have her, you should have her because obviously she's quite smart and good at what she does. And she will
Everybody
not.
should
Please,
have
please
me.
don't give her the AI pitch.
I was just going to say, she will stop the bad things from happening. She will stop
Don't
the
come with the
photoshopped images from going
I
out.
could help you if you work for the royal family. I've got you. I won't let that happen.
Oh my God, she'd be great. And then Tanya, please tell our listeners where they can find and follow you.
Tanya Ballard Brown. That's T and a B and a B. So I am T double B everywhere. TDOUBLEB pretty much everywhere. So there you go.
That's right. And we'll see if we have included your dog in this podcast,
Butterbean.
possibly earlier. Where do we find Butterbean online?
Uh,
Because
Butterbean Ballard Brown all together, mashed together. She is on Insta and TikTok. Those
She's
For
an ex-
everybody, if you know this, she was very loud until we exactly started this podcast
That's right.
episode.
Probably
She
heard
was
her on
making
last
sure
time's
is her
episode.
she
and
wanted to make sure
friend,
she was heard
her
until
and her big sis Isha, who is
Isha.
visiting. Isha is her mommy is gonna come and get her tomorrow.
Then maybe Butterbean could do the ExxonMobil internship gig on TikTok.
I think she might be
Um,
too lazy. I'm watching her now and she's laid.
And you can find me. Rachel has the MIC pretty much everywhere. And I often do have a mic just like I do right now. Thanks for flying the sometimes friendly skies with us on this episode of the Just Trust Me Marketing Podcast. If we didn't lose your luggage, leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. You can also find and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads. Look forward to new episodes of Just Trust Me every Thursday, and feel free to drop the topics you'd like us to dissect on our social accounts. We'll bring you more trust marketing tactics on the next episode of Just Trust Me.